So I can't be the only one that has thought about this, right? The question on who Deku is narrating to and the purpose of it, and is he dying in the future? I'm not alone on this, right? Why has Horikoshi, the creator of My Hero Academia, integrated this type of storytelling technique into the manga? It's already been established that Deku is going to be the #1 hero, or the best hero because he said it himself.
So, これは僕が最高のヒーローになるまでの物語だ。
So this begs the question, who is Deku narrating to, and does the narration involve a greater purpose? And before some of you guys type in the comments, hey anime balls deep, he's just talking to us. Obviously he's talking to the viewers watching the show. Sometimes I don't think that. I don't think that's the case sometimes. For instance, Deku addresses actual characters as if he's speaking with them in the present, such as Bakugo, as well as saying we were or you sometimes, as if he is making a speech and addressing them. Such as, look at chapter 1, Deku states in the narration, there were any number of reasons but at that moment, and then it cuts to, you looked like you needed saving. This happens again in their fight during chapter 119 to 121 with Bakugo.
He just needed to vent his emotions, and fighting was the only way he knew how. I couldn't ignore him, or run off, not after everything we'd been through. Our relationship to one another was totally screwed up. Kindergarten, elementary, middle school, high school. We'd known each other for so long, but until that point, we'd never talked about how we really felt.
Now, of course, this is entirely up to your interpretation of the narration. Midoriya also says how he would always regret not being a better friend to Ida on the day they left for the internships, because of the encounter with Stain in the future, right? Or perhaps it's because of some other event about Ida that we haven't seen yet, but the future Deku narration clearly knows about events that haven't happened yet, so there's uncertainty that Deku is just talking to us. Maybe it's something more. So this leads up to the thought and idea and possibility that Midoriya is explaining his life story with exposition and context of how the final season of My Hero Academia will be shaped to be. I'll also be featuring your comments at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around and let's dive into this. Narration in a story is a very powerful technique that has many advantages and provides a dialogue, not only about what is being said in a scene, right, but it also tells us what is being left unsaid. It provides a playing field for the writer, which is Horikoshi in this case, to help interact with emotions, thoughts, and the context to what's happened. The narrator is the voice in which the story is told, right? If the story is told using he, she, they, it's third person. This narrator's voice and perspective can see into everyone's thoughts and is basically omniscient. However, it can also be only one person's thoughts, which is limited. My Hero Academia has 3 types of narrations. If you have probably noticed, one person is future Deku who is telling his story and has knowledge that we do not know. One person is past Deku that speaks sometimes as if it's in the present, and the other is a narrator explaining the quirks or giving context. Since My Hero Academia uses I and the story is only about what the future Deku sees and knows and what he experiences, that's first person. The story is being told totally in his perspective. Now that is all out of the way, just hear me out for a second because this relates to my point and perspective as well as my experience. Having the main character narrate their story has been done multiple times in other media, so depending on what direction Horikoshi takes with My Hero Academia, once we catch up to the present, it can be Midoriya within a scene of something major happening. When it comes to characters narrating their life, what is the most standout factor that comes into your mind throughout the history of watching media? Let me name a few stories that have narration for you. Tidus from Final Fantasy X, Zack Fair, Final Fantasy VII, Terminator 2, Sarah Connor, Boruto, Rorschach from Watchmen, Fight Club, Tyler Durden. And what do all these stories have in common? The answer is D. They all lead into the present scene into something really tragic or worse. Now, although I could have given better examples of narration regarding my point, of course, those were just a few that popped into my head, but since My Hero Academia is still all in the past and is very similar, that could be one interpretation some readers can have, that it's all leading up to an event in the end game. For example, in chapter 121 and many others, Deku says that so All Might spoke with Karchan about the power passed on from generation to generation to fight against evil, the power that allowed him to become the #1 hero and symbol of peace. You could say that a person that's listening to this or reading this, the audience or a person, is that they're familiar with Bakugo as being known as Karchan, as well as the concept of one for all. In the latter interpretation of thinking Deku is not speaking to the viewers, why would future Deku be talking like this throughout his story then, as if everyone knows who Bakugo and the characters are, as well as the person listening knows the power of one for all? Connecting all of these dots in my head, right, this leads up to one theory of mine, thinking that Deku is actually doing a eulogy. Now, before you cry and get the tissues out, I'm talking about a eulogy on All Might. All Might could be dead for all we know. Deku is probably addressing everyone at the funeral. Based on my experience of watching stories that have narration, they all lead up to something tragic. So the whole world in fact may be listening to what Deku has to say, to inspire them on defeating and ending the League of Villains, similar to what Gaara did for the ninjas before the 4th Shinobi World War. It's the end game, the final season of My Hero Academia. Deku with this speech that is a narration of his journey and story could be inspiring everybody of who All Might was and what it all represents, thus portraying the message of the show, that there is a hero in all of us, as well as the cyclic nature of life. Death is a destiny we all have to meet one day, but it's not about that, it's the journey and your impact on the people around you. My Hero Academia often tries to portray these ideas, that everyone has suffered but can still be the best that they can be. All Might has lost his sensei, and his sensei herself has lost people too. Either almost lost his brother, whilst Kota lost everyone. Everyone has their story to tell. Future Deku, who we are listening to and will eventually catch up to, and is making the story within the present, it could be that he's at All Might's funeral with all the heroes and TV stations attending, and this could be because All for One or Shigaraki has killed him. Another shonen anime that is kinda doing this is Boruto. What if this whole story leads up to something tragic?
忍びの時代は終わる。ここまでやるとはな、川木。忍びの時代は終わる。物語はここより数年遡る。
Now I know what some of you will say, well Boruto is trash bro, compared to My Hero Academia is better in every way. Well, what I have to say to this is...
Jameson here. Do you eat ass? Absolutely not!
Furthermore, evidence that kinda backs up this theory is an interview that the creator of My Hero Academia mentioned himself, in which he states all characters will come together and go forward into the last arc. However, at the moment, in present time, we are not even close to the last battle, but I do have an idea of how I want it to be planned out. In addition, this is a slight spoiler, so be ready. 3, 2, 1. All Might's death has already been red flagged in the manga, with it being stated to be possible future prediction and that he will die. However, Deku wants to change the future and stop it from happening. Also, since we know that Deku is inspired by Spider-Man and Horikoshi admits he's a huge Spider-Man fan, we know for a fact that part of Spider-Man's character is talking to himself or thinking out loud. I mean, why do you think Deku does it the exact same thing as comic relief most of the time? Horikoshi has even admitted he loves the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films that utilize the same narration.
Who am I? You sure you want to know? The story of my life is not for the faint of heart. If somebody said it was a happy little tale, if somebody told you I was just your average ordinary guy not a care in the world, somebody lied. But let me assure you, this, like any story worth telling, is all about a girl.
So again, Horikoshi can lead this idea into Deku actually talking to someone for that purpose. It could be anything. It could be Deku speaking with his kids in the future, Deku being dead and he recorded a story. Realistically, Horikoshi can take this narration into many directions, because since we hear Deku narrating, it keeps us hooked and connected with him. The journey itself could mean something deeper and lead up to something finally connecting all of the dots in My Hero Academia universe, and then it cuts to a scene of Midoriya laying on all this information for a certain purpose. Judging by when I asked you guys what you think about the situation, a lot of you in the community have come to a similar conclusion to me. which is he's talking to the future generation of heroes. He's narrating to his kids, and this is just the anime version of How I Met Your Mother, which I don't even mind. He's talking to the next One For All user. All of you had many brilliant comments. I'd say 80% of you wrote similar comments, and in my opinion, I think all of them could be a possibility, and that's what's great about this technique that has been implemented into the anime. It doesn't make him tunnel vision into one direction. He can take this story whatever he wants and do whatever he wants to do. You guys also know the famous quote from Batman, right?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I mean, the creator of the anime could have been inspired from this too. I mean, it's not like heroes haven't been portrayed as villains in the news media of My Hero Academia anyways. It's literally what Stain represents with his impact to society. All Might probably died as a hero, maybe that's just one interpretation. Of course, for me, I would like something bittersweet. Those tends to be the most impactful and meaningful conclusions of a plot device for me. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Every shonen anime has something tragic in it, or an event that changes the tide of everything that we are watching. This plot device could be perfect for it. Naruto had Pain, Dragon Ball had Frieza, One Piece had Shanks, Whitebeard or Blackbeard. You guys get the point. When I vision the future adult Deku and we watch and catch up to his story, I see some things very similar to Crisis Core, with All Might being Zack Fair and Cloud being Deku. Check out this clip, it almost fits perfectly to the setting of My Hero Academia.
Zack. For the both of us. Both of us? That's right. You're gonna live. You'll be my living legacy. My honor. My dreams. They're yours now. I'm your living legacy.
So in conclusion, from the future, it's just a matter of what type of plot device you want this narration to be. Will the story end when he becomes the top hero, or will it be events after the narration where he just doesn't narrate anymore and we're in the present? Let me know what you think in the comment section below on what your theory is and what would you like it to be. Be sure to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.